with the former Ottawa 67's defenseman Noel Hoefenmayer. And first of all, Hoff, how have you been keeping yourself busy during the pandemic?
I've been doing everything I can to kind of keep a schedule and follow it. It's easy now, like nothing's really happening, so it's easy to kind of fall in the trap and not do anything. So I've been trying to keep myself as busy as possible throughout the day, and I think it's working out pretty good for me so far.
Obviously, working out would be one thing that you'd be trying to do on a regular basis. What else have you been doing to keep your time busy?
Yeah, Sean Young with Canadian Strength, and then Derek Miller also with Next Gen. They've both been great in supplying us workouts and stuff to do to work on our skills and work on our game with no ice. And I think that's been working for me really well, and I owe them a lot. They've helped me a lot in this time.
So aside from workouts and trying to get better, what else have you been doing? Is it a bunch of reading? Is it binging TV shows? What is it with Noel?
I can't really I can't really stay focused for too long to stay into a TV show. So I haven't watched any TV shows really. I've been watching that Last Dance though, and I'm pretty into that. I'm enjoying that with the Bulls there and everything that happened with them. It's pretty crazy, but I like stuff like that. It's cool and interesting to follow along. So I've been watching that. I've been reading some books, listening to some audio books. Prefer the listening over the reading, but um, yeah, just putting around, doing things. My brother's here, so it's nice I get to spend time with him because over the last 5 years, I haven't really had the chance to spend that much quality time with him. So it's nice that I've been kind of living with him, and being able to see him around every day is really, really cool.
I got to ask you about the Last Dance and what your takeaway is, because obviously being a 99 birthday, this happened all before you. What's your takeaway from Dennis Rodman in particular?
Yeah, I never got to watch him play. I was too young then. I don't remember, but seems like he was a pretty crazy guy. I don't know. We didn't have anyone like that on the 67s, that's for sure.
Noel, I've been doing a bunch of these recently, and starting with, how did you get into hockey? What was your motivation, or do you remember the first time that you put on skates and got out there?
I think I started pretty young. My mom and dad are both huge hockey fans, and my dad's obviously a huge Montreal fan as well. So he always used to watch hockey, and I loved it since I was young. I think the first time I skated was with him at a public rink, and I was one of the only kids that was in full equipment on like a public skate, and everyone else is I'm falling down, getting right back up because it wasn't hurting me. And so since then, I think I've just had a huge passion for hockey, and I've loved it since.
All right, you mentioned, I was going to get to this a little bit later on, but since you brought it up, your dad, as a Montreal Canadiens fan, can you explain how big of a fan he is and where his love of the Habs came from?
He grew up in Montreal, so when he was younger, that was his hometown team, and those were the guys that he kind of looked up to and idolized when he was a young fan. And he likes competitive sports in general, and being from Montreal, like the team in Montreal, the Canadiens are idolized. So he was one of those kids that idolized them growing up, and he stuck with it his whole life.
And into his adulthood, did he renovate his bathroom to look, well, to be Montreal, basically?
Yeah, it was to scale of the Forum. The floor was the scale of the Montreal Forum back in the day, and then he had a logo in the shower, and that was kind of his Habs shrine when we were living in that house, and it was pretty cool. I wasn't allowed showering there. That was his private bathroom, but yeah, that was pretty cool.
So did you grow up a Habs fan as well?
I did, yeah. My mom was born in Ottawa, and she's a Senators fan, and my dad's a Montreal fan, so I picked Montreal, and my brother picked Ottawa, and we had a little in-house rivalry going on there since we were young.
So that picture of your dad's bathroom is one that online has really blown up and has gotten a lot of attention. The other thing that you got a lot of attention for was your minor hockey fight. And I know it's gone away quite a bit. I got to try and find that video. But can you, for those who haven't seen it, can you just take us through exactly what happened there?
Yeah, I think if you look up 8-year-old Guelph brawl, it'll pop up. But that was a long time ago. I don't remember too much of what happens, but I don't think the video makes me look too good.
The other thing that stands out to me about your minor hockey career, when you were playing with Don Mills, was the giant shoulder pads that you had on. Was that just all you had access to? Why, or did you like the style of it?
I'm not too sure actually what happened there. That reputation has kind of stuck with me. Everyone remembers me for those big shoulder pads that I used to have in minor hockey, but I don't know what the deal was behind that. I'll have to ask my dad on that one.
Okay, and take us through that minor midget season. You were on a very good Don Mills team with a lot of very talented players. Can you take us through that entire year?
Taking me back now, Kenny,
Oh,
eh?
6 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a really good team. We had David Levin, who got drafted first overall this year, that year, sorry. And that was pretty cool being a kid that was born in Israel. And he played roller hockey his whole life growing up. And then he only put on skates a couple years before the OHL draft. So there was a lot of stories on that team. And we had a really good team. And it was fun to be a part of that year, the minor midget Don Mills team there.
And then, well, less than a month ago, the OHL priority selection took place. Brand new section of 300 players being drafted in. Take us back to your draft day, where you were, your reaction when you were selected by the Ottawa 67s.
Yeah, Ottawa was my choice. That was the team I wanted to go to, and that was the team that I had the best interview with. I remember talking to Higgy on the phone. I remember he called me, and I was really happy when I heard my name get called by the 67s. I was really excited and honored to be drafted by a team with such a storied, successful history, and somewhere where I knew was a great city and great place to kind of grow up. So that was really cool being drafted. And on that day, there was a bunch of us from the Don Mills team that we all kind of got together, and we knew that a bunch of us were going to get drafted and get drafted pretty early. So we all kind of were in the same room together, and we got to share the moment together. It was pretty cool.
Being selected as early as you were you expecting to be that high, or did you feel like you slipped down a little bit? What was your anticipation heading into the draft?
I think since I was really young, I've always been very competitive, and I think you've seen that over the years that I can be pretty competitive, and I wanted to go as high as I could, right? So kind of use that as motivation that I wasn't the first D picked, and that I have room to grow, and I have room to get better and people to beat out. So I don't know what my expectations were really of where I was going to be picked, but I think that from that day throughout my OHL career, I kind of use that to use people that got drafted ahead of me as kind of stepping stones of where I wanted to be, and people that I had to prove that I was better than.
And did you find that motivation as well in your first year? You weren't in every game. You weren't playing every game in your rookie year. Was that motivation to get better, to try and improve yourself? Your numbers don't look incredible in that opening year, but that was a very deep defensive core coming in. How did you view that first year in the OHL?
Yeah, we had a good group. We had a lot of young D that year as well. Will Brown, myself, Hudson Wilson, we're all kind of fighting for the same one spot. We had a lot of older guys, but I think that year really made me. That was like the biggest year for me growing wise. I think it taught me how to compete. It taught me what I have to do to earn my spot, and I think I hold a lot from that year and carry it on to like what I do now and how I act now at the rink. And I think that was really good for me. I think Hudson and I are really good friends to this day, but that first year we used each other as kind of competitors, and I think that really helped both of our careers out a lot.
Is that year on the defensive core similar to this past season that got cut short with a lot of veteran returning guys and then some young guys insulating the lower part of the defensive group?
I'm not too good with the memory thing. I know we had a really good decor that year. My first year there, we had a lot of older guys and a lot of guys that I looked up to, and a lot of the younger guys looked up to and learned from. I think this year we also there's a lot of similarities. I guess we had a pretty good decor this year as well, and we had a lot of older guys, and I think it was good for the younger guys to kind of look at us and see how each of us acts, because I'd say with all the older guys we had this year, each of us kind of has a different style to play. So everyone has someone to look up to and kind of compare their game to and who they want to be like and what their game is most similar to. So yeah, for sure. I think that this year was really good for those young guys as well to look up to us and kind of learn from us.
And I know you mentioned guys that you looked up to and helped you along the way. One guy that I want to focus in, though, is Sam Studnicka. The relationship that you guys had seemed to be an incredibly special one for such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it was for sure. And Sam and I are still close to this day. I was actually talking to him this morning. He's like my older brother that I never had. He was really good to me, and he taught me a lot of life lessons as well as hockey lessons. And I'm really appreciative that I kind of got that opportunity to live with him for the short season that he was here. But those are memories and a relationship that I'll have forever.
You mentioned that you didn't play in every game in your rookie season, and one of the benefits of that, I suppose, was being able to come on the broadcast with me to be my color commentator. What was that like for you as such a young man, being able to step up into a role like that, where you may not be the most comfortable?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I think that helped me a lot in my speaking as well. I know I wasn't too good at interviews at the start there in my first year, but I think that really helped me become a better speaker, and being able to communicate better just in that kind of sense, in that atmosphere was really good for me. So I think that I also did a pretty good job
Absolutely.
considering I heard grammar this year. I think that I kind of one-upped him in my first year, but no, I'm just joking. I heard him a couple times on the radio this year, and he did a good job as well. And that kind of brought back memories of when I was younger and doing the same thing that he was this year.
What was one of the highlights or the highlight of your rookie season for you?
Just playing with a bunch of incredible players that we had on that team. We had a lot of really good people on that team and really good players, and being able to play with them and learn from them was really cool. That was a good memory for me. Another one, we already mentioned it, was living with Sam, and being able to be friends with him was another memory that was really cool for me my first year.
Heading into your second year, a massive jump in production. I think it was 40 points in your second year. Have you always been an offensive defenseman, jumping up into the rush and producing points?
I think that when I was younger, I wasn't necessarily as fluent as I am now. I think it was kind of more choppy. I think I had the offensive side to my game when I was younger, when I was minor midget and that age, but I was never as kind of what I am now as a offensive D-man. But I think that throughout the years, just hard work before and after practice, working on my skills, working with the skills coaches on the team, that really brought my game to another level offensively.
And is there a reason for that massive jump? Is it just a matter of playing time and getting that opportunity to be basically a number one pairing defenseman in your second year?
Yeah, I think that helps for sure. Being able to make a jump like that in your second year is huge, and considering the team we had my first year and the opportunity that I had to play wasn't as much as my second year. So I think that definitely had a huge impact on my production my second year for sure. I think that in the summer, I also worked pretty hard to kind of work on my game and bring it to that next level where I can produce more.
And then that offseason, drafted by Arizona in the fourth round. What was it like being selected in the NHL draft?
It was a pretty cool experience. I remember going down with my family and being able to share that moment with them was really cool, considering they've supported me throughout my whole career to that point. And being down in Chicago with them and being able to share that memory with them was really cool. That's something I'll remember forever.
And then from the high of getting selected in the NHL draft, I'm sure a dream come true, to the low of 2 years later when you weren't signed by Arizona. What was the emotions of that, and what were you going through at that point when June 1st hits and you weren't signed by the Coyotes?
I think for every hockey player, every competitive hockey player, their dream is sign an NHL contract, play in the NHL, and to not be able to do that was definitely disappointing. But it's something that I've used as motivation since then, and I think that's one of the big things that's kind of helped me make my game even better and brought me to another level. So it didn't work out, and it was my experience with Arizona was great, and I learned a lot from everyone that was there. And Alex Henry, who was their defensive player development guy, he helped me out a lot, working on different areas of my game and different sides of my game. But at the end of the day, I didn't end up signing, and I think that helped me out a lot to motivate me to push even more to bring my game to the next level.
Does that make you look at what you or why you weren't signed and what you're able to improve on in order to, as you did, sign an AHL deal this year?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a moment that made me reflect and think about what I had to do to make it to the next level and earn a contract at the next level. I think that sometimes it's better to have things the hard way than it is the easy way. And you learn more from experience that aren't just given to you, but you have to work for them. And I think that that's kind of my situation right now. And I learned a lot from that situation, and it's benefited me.
And this summer, you're going to skip ahead a little bit. You attended Carolina Hurricanes camp, and what was that experience like? And how much did that help you to see a different organization and how different teams are doing the same type of thing?
Yeah, that was good. I think my big takeaway there was Jake Bean was on that team, and he's an amazing player. I got to learn from him and watch him a lot, and how he played and how he kind of acted away from the rink, and tried to bring some of that into my game. He's only a year older than me. It's kind of weird to say that I was like learning that much from him, but I think that was like the biggest takeaway I had from that camp was learning from him and how professional he was away from the rink and how he acted at the rink.
The Ottawa 67's coach for the first 2 years of your OHL career was Jeff Brown, former NHL defenseman. How much were you able to learn from him, and just having a guy of his quality who played in the NHL be your head coach?
Yeah, my first 2 years, the whole coaching staff there, Easty, we had Brad Brown in there too. They were all great for me. My first 2 years in the OHL was a big step for me, and moving away from home and being able to learn from guys that have that much experience and have been through that much, and to be able to kind of soak in what they have to say was really good for me.
And then transition into Andre Tourigny and Mario Duhamel coaching the D. How big of an adjustment was it to start waking up in the morning and morning practices very early on? I'm sure that was a massive adjustment after their first year. But what was the entire transition like, and the impact that they had on your career?
I've always been kind of a morning guy, so that didn't really affect me. But I enjoyed the morning practices and being able to get the work done early in the morning and kind of have the afternoon to take care of yourself and hang out with teammates and and kind of just relax I enjoyed that a lot. I think that was good for me. When they came in, they were really good, and it was a different atmosphere around the rink. They helped me bring my game to another level. They were amazing coaches, all of them. Normo, Mario, Andre, they all really helped me a lot, and they helped me on the ice, but they also helped me a lot off the ice, and working on my mental game and working on my controlling my brain and being able to control my thoughts and all that. And I think that was a huge part in kind of taking another step for me as well in the last couple of years.
I want to get your thoughts about a couple or a few individual players. The first, a guy who you were paired with for the majority of the last 4 years, and Kevin Ball, and the relationship that you two built and how you both helped each other on the ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kev is one of my best friends now, and we always used each other as competition when we were at the rink. And I think that it was similar to Hudson and I my first year. I think Kevin and I really pushed each other, and we kind of fueled each other to both be better. And that really helped both of our games. Every time we were at the rink, it was kind of a competition for us and who can outdo the other one. And that really brought our games to the next level. And having that competition on the ice really brought us close together off the ice. And we're very similar people, and we have similar goals as well, and we both know what we want to do, and we're both kind of on the same path. So we bonded really well off the ice as well from that competitiveness on the ice.
Austin Keating is a guy that you spent the last 5 years with, and it's rare in the OHL to have two guys play close to or over 300 games together. What's your relationship with Austin been like over the last 5 years?
Yeah, it's crazy that we played all 5 years together. I missed the 300 game mark by two, unfortunately, but yeah, it's pretty rare that two guys both play 300 games on the same team together. It was really cool having to spend my whole 5 year career with Austin and being able to get to know him, and how close we became and how well we know each other now is crazy. So that's another great friendship that I have, and it'll last forever.
And I'm sure the same type of thing with Hudson Wilson. You already mentioned him a couple times. Traded to the
Yeah.
Peterborough Petes and close to the beginning of the season, just due to circumstances. But what was it like to have those you three guys, first 3 round picks of the '99 draft there? How unique was it? I can tell from my point of view that it never happens that three guys go 5 years or 5.5 years, 4.5 years together. But what was it
Yeah.
like from your point of view?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was we've seen each other at our bests and at our worsts. We know each other like no one else does. We know everything about each other, and our bonds are so tight now. It's crazy how we spent that much time together and how close we got throughout those years.
Cody Clark is another guy that you got close to, and I believe you two were roommates,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how competitive were you two? Because I know you're both very competitive, even at something as simple as Mario Kart.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, both of us are very competitive people, and we have a really good friendship, and we still stay in touch throughout the whole year this year, checking in on each other, seeing how we're doing. I think that in a living environment, I learned a lot from him, and learned a lot on sides that maybe I was slacking compared to him. But we were really close throughout our years, and it was really nice to live with him for the time we lived together.
And then this year, you got put into a different bromance. Nikita Hatuk and Mitch Holscher had been living together since Nikita came over. What was it like to enter into that household?
Yeah, it was great. And Rhonda as well. She was great to us, and she kept us in check, and she cooked great meals. It was a great place to live, and I loved living there with those two and Rhonda. And it was a good environment, and it was a good change, and it was nice to kind of learn how close they were together, and kind of try and get into that kind of friendship. It was good.
It seemed like those two bonded fairly quickly when Nikita did come over. Can you explain that friendship that they have? That they do seem like brothers.
Yeah, they do. They are for sure. They're inseparable at the hip. They're really tight, and it's cool that they're both drafted to New Jersey as well now, and hopefully they can both continue their career together. They're very tight friends, and it was cool to live with them.
All right, I want to move on to last year's playoff run and just an outstanding year for you guys. Unfortunate ending, but what was it like to be a part of that run to the OHL final?
It was really cool. We, as an organization, we hadn't been there in a while, and it was great to kind of have that year and having the team we did and making it that far and bringing the city together. It was an amazing experience, and unfortunately we couldn't finish the deal last year, but and we were trying to bring that into this year. We learned a lot from kind of the playoff run, what it took to be a champion, and unfortunately this year we couldn't have the chance to win this year and finish the job, but that's the way life goes sometimes.
From the start of your OHL career, when the crowd was solid but not great at the arena at TD Place, to where it got to last year during the playoffs, this year as they were mounting up towards the playoffs, what was it like to see that increase in the crowd and see the arena at TD Place sold out last year?
It was phenomenal. The 67s fans were amazing throughout my whole career, but in the last 2 years, it was phenomenal. The support we had and the way the city came around us was really amazing.
Was there a moment that stands out to you more than others when you look back at that run?
At last year's run,
Yeah.
I remember Felly having the clutch games. I think a game that I'll remember is the one in Sudbury. I forget how many overtimes we went, but it was like one of the longest games in a long time. So that was a crazy game, and to have Felly score the winner, that was really cool.
So we've had a few stories about that where Sean Young was serving the Swiss Chalet or the chicken in between the second and the
Yeah,
third overtime. Did you partake in the food, because you were playing a ton of minutes on the back end throughout that?
yeah, yeah. I was eating anything I could. I was starving. I don't normally eat too much like right before the game, so throughout the game, I was definitely getting very hungry, especially towards those last two overtimes there. And I was happy that we could seal the deal when we did, and we didn't have to go into another one.
Before he got hurt, Mikey DiPietro made an impact on your team, bringing that winning pedigree. He never won a playoff series, but he had that the Memorial Cup. What did it mean to have him in goal? I know you guys trusted Cedric Andre fully, but what was it like to have DiPietro come in midway through the year?
Yeah, he was great, and he was great for our team too. I think he's a true professional. The way he acts off the ice and the way he takes care of himself, and I was lucky to be his roommate and kind of learn from how he acted and how he prepared himself for. It's a little different because he was a goalie, so he had different things that he had to do than myself personally as a defenseman to mentally prepare for games. But he had a huge impact on our team, and it was definitely great to know that we had Mikey and Seti behind us.
Did you ever want to strap on the goalie pads?
No,
Did you ever play minor hockey? Were you ever forced to?
I could shut that question down early for you.
Okay. I want to get your thoughts on the overtime goal and clincher by Ty Felleber in Oshawa and the celebration that ensued in the locker room after that would send you guys to the OHL final.
Yeah, that was really cool. And I remember in the locker room after, all of us celebrating together and having that excitement that was a really cool experience. I remember that to this day. I have some pictures from that celebration, and it was really cool.
Throughout your time with Ottawa, it always seemed like you stepped up your game come playoff time. 33 points in 33 games, played solid defensively from what my bad memory can recall. But is that something that you took pride in, being able to step up your game even more come playoff time?
I like to think so. Yeah, I think that big players come out in big games, right? And I think that in the playoffs is when it really counts, and that's when I like to ramp it up even more and kind of help the team do whatever we can to win games.
There was no captain for the last 2 years with the 67s, but you seem to morph into a semi unofficial captain in the last year, especially. What did it mean to you to become part of the leadership group within the Ottawa 67s?
Yeah, it was great for me, and I learned a lot being a leader on the team and different things that I was unaware of before, and I never really got to experience. And having the coaches kind of help all of us through being leaders on the team was really good for me. And I learned a lot of skills that I can bring to everyday life as well as kind of throughout my rest of my career. So it was really cool, and it was an honor to be a leader on a team like we had.
Is there one player on the 67s who will be here or with the 67s next year who you think could really break out, who you think is in store for a big year, who fans may not be expecting it out of them?
I think with the development that the 67s have and the way that the organization is run now, I think that everyone has the potential to have a breakout year. And with our skills coaches and with our training staff and Sean Young, Derek Froats, and everyone at Canadian Strengths, the potential for anyone to have a breakout season is huge.
With all the kids coming into the OHL priority selection again, having spent 5 years in the OHL, what's your message, or what would be your message to the kids coming in?
I think a big one would be never be satisfied. I think the OHL is just one step towards the big picture and the big goal for everyone playing hockey. And it's hard. Sometimes it can be you can fall into a little bit of a trap and be satisfied being in the OHL. And you got to remember that you're working for bigger things and you want to be an NHL player one day.
Now, we mentioned before that you did sign that AHL deal with the Marlies. What did that mean to you to put pen to paper and officially sign your first professional contract?
Yeah, it was really nice for me to get something done and have something in my back pocket. I think that being with the Leafs organization is an honor for me. Being a Toronto kid and growing up watching the Leafs on TV, being in my hometown, it's an honor to have the chance to try and work and play for them one day. So I think that was really cool, and now it gives me something to work for this summer as well, and motivation to move forward and work on my game to make that level.
Now, obviously, this doesn't particularly matter at this point. It's generally your agent who would take part of it. But do you know if there were and how many other contract offers you had on the table?
I'm not too sure, no.
Is it tough for you, having your dad being a massive Habs fan, you growing up a Montreal fan, to sign with the Leafs, or was it a no-brainer?
Not at all. It's a no-brainer. My dad supported me wherever I've played throughout my whole career, and that doesn't change now that I'm with any team. He'll always be my number one supporter, and he'll always be there, have my back.
What do you feel like you need to work on as you move towards your professional career?
I think no one's a perfect skater, and I think that that's a part of my game that I definitely need to work on and have that as an asset to me instead of something that slows me down. And I think that this summer that's going to be my main focus, is to work on my skating and get my speed.
All right, a couple other individual questions, and everybody knows that the 67s had a very talented squad. How much did it help you in practice going up against the likes of the guys that you did the last couple of years, especially Ty Felleber, Sasha Shomolevsky for a number of years, Marco Rossi, Jack Quinn this year? How much does that help you in your day-to-day competition and your day-to-day working to get better?
I think that when you're competing in practice against the best players in the league, it makes games a lot easier. I think that on our team, you could arguably say that we had some of the best forward group in the league, and I think that competing against guys like that every single day in practice definitely helped my game and made me more prepared for games.
All right, a couple more because I need to get individual scouting reports on players from your point of view. Jack Quinn and Marco Rossi, individual scouting reports from Noel Hoefenmayer.
They're both fantastic players. Jack has the nose for the net, and he loves scoring goals, and he's a natural scorer. It was nice passing the puck to him, knowing that he was going to shoot it, and it was probably going to go in this year. Marco Rossi is one of the smartest players I've ever played with. He sees the ice like no one I've ever seen. His edge work in the corners and his patience with the puck is unbelievable.
And Noel, finally, who's been cutting your hair? Because you got it high and tight there.
My brother cut it.
It looks good.
It's growing in a bit. It was shaved before. Now it's growing in a little more, but yeah, it didn't look too. It's hard to mess up a buzz cut. I didn't think it was possible, but apparently it can be done.
And
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
over your time with the 67s, you frequently had a beard. And now in a time when I've let everything go and it doesn't really look good, you've decided to shave. What's going on?
I think your beard looks good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I think throughout this whole year, I kind of tried to keep my face shaved. I think it's more professional and it looks better. And I knew what I was fighting for this year and what my goals were. And I think that trying to be as professional as you can definitely gives you a little bit of an edge. So I tried to keep a clean shave as much as I could this year.
Well, Noel, appreciate the time. Make sure you stay safe and looking forward to seeing you out on the ice soon.
Thank you very much.